What happens when you win the game and then realize the other side stopped playing?
Ladies, don't get mad at me, but feminism ruined dating, and I can prove it. In 1960, nearly 80% of all adults were married, and today, it's only 50%. And that's according to Pew Research. You guys already know I'm gonna say it. Birth rates, they are down over 60% since the 1960s. And it's not all just a choice. A lot of women say they just can't find good men. According to the recent New York Post headline, "Where have all the good men gone?" Why though? Where have they gone? Well, feminism told women, you don't need that man, go chase that bag. And women listened. But so did the men. The feminist movement doesn't just affect the women in society, by the way. Let's look at the numbers. It's 1 in 4 men under 30 who are not dating at all. It is at its highest rate in modern history. And when men are checking out, then women lose the option of traditional partnership. Now, any relationship is like a transactional battlefield. Who earns more? Who leads? Who pays for what? Who cleans? Who stays home for the kids? Are we having kids? It's all a scoreboard. It's all a competition now. Dating is what leads to marriage. Now, marriage was not always perfect, that's for sure, but it was a partnership with clear roles. Now it's more like a business deal where both sides try to compete instead of cooperate with each other. Agree or disagree? Drop a comment and let me know your thoughts. Do you think feminism has changed dating in a negative way? Let me know.
For years, the message was clear. Independence, self-focus, no reliance. Build your own life, your own success, your own standards. And to be fair, a lot of that message worked. The shift happened exactly as intended.
Men's drive to self-improve is tied to impressing women. And if women don't want to be pursued, what's left to motivate them? Hi, I'm Morgan, and I think feminism ruined dating. Guys today grew up seeing heroes in old movies going after what they want. Now they're being told that all of that is problematic. And I think it's made men really passive towards women, and they're not sure what is appropriate or respectful anymore. When a real societal issue like sexism becomes mainstream, it gets heavily scrutinized. The worst parts about that get addressed, societal norms shift, but the movement doesn't stop. Instead, that same level of outrage starts getting applied to smaller, more subjective things. We've exposed the power imbalances between men and women, and a lot of that has been corrected. But instead of winding down, the feminist movement kept going, finding injustices where it doesn't necessarily exist anymore. Now men are told through modern media that women don't want to be saved, chivalry is controlling, and expressing interest can be seen as predatory. To notice us, pursue us, or even think about us romantically is seen as outdated and oppressive. At the same time, sex positivity has taken off, which encourages casual sex and emotional detachment. And that's every boy's teenage dream, sex without effort or commitment. And now many men don't know how to chase at all. When my friends open their dating apps and they complain about the selection, the men on there either don't plan dates, they lack ambition, they're not committed, they don't take care of themselves. What I think gets lost in the shuffle of progressivism is that men's drive to self-improve is tied to impressing women. And if women don't want to be pursued, what's left to motivate them? The constant push for female independence has now gone past the point of equality and is now eroding the role that men once played in society. Truth is, we've created a generation of weak men because the movement didn't stop when we got what we wanted. I would love to see us stop treating masculinity like it's a problem. Instead of tearing them down, we should be focusing on building them up, encouraging strength and leadership and emotional maturity in a way that's respectful and healthy, showing boys that they are needed and valuable and capable of good, not that they should just be quiet or step aside. When we stop shaming traditional male traits and start guiding them with purpose, we will raise stronger, better men who know how to show up for themselves and the people around them.
But here's the part no one talks about. When one side becomes fully independent, the other side starts reevaluating its role. If everything is handled solo, what exactly is expected from them anymore?
Want to know something wild? Women traded family for a 9-to-5 and then they called it liberation. Just think about it for a second. Our grandmothers prayed for husbands so that they could work hard, raise kids, and build a strong home. That was the dream: security, love, and purpose. Then feminism came along, told women that being a wife and being a mother is oppressive. So what did we do? We left the home to work for men that don't love us at companies that will replace us the second we get burnt out. That's not freedom, that is slavery in heels. Feminism convinced women that family is a cage and working for a corporate job is empowerment. Tell me this, why do so many women hit 30, are alone, exhausted, and wondering why they feel so empty? It's because you can't outsmart God's design. No promotion will ever replace a husband that loves you and children who adore you. So no, I'm not anti-woman, I'm pro-woman, and pro-woman enough to tell you the truth. Real freedom isn't in a cubicle or a nurse's station, it's in building a legacy. So go forth and multiply.
That question is where things start to change. Because instead of competing harder, many men are stepping back and simplifying their lives. Less pressure, less expectation, less involvement. Not as a reaction, but as a decision. And that decision is quiet.
So today, Teen Vogue publishes this article. Young women are more liberal than young men, and it's making dating harder. Is it though? Or are women just having to face the reality that feminism lied to us about what qualities are actually attractive? And one girl who's 28 from Arizona said she screenshots dating app profiles when they mention a disqualifier for women that they date that seems unfair. Like being liberal, being bisexual, or not wanting to have kids. Which, call me crazy, don't seem that outrageous. Another girl said she loved falling in love with a Trump-supporting conservative man until he made her feel bad about how many guys that she had previously slept with. But is it at all possible that maybe that wasn't slut-shaming, just an honest conversation about premarital sex? And of course, the biggest red flag of all, pro-life men. Even though a man who's pro-life is actually prepared to take responsibility for his actions. What do you think? Is dating unfair to women?
Let's talk about it. Feminism killed chivalry. Women should be able to do whatever they want. Whatever the heck they want. I don't like this pretending like we don't need men. We do need men. Some men are assholes. But so are so many women, right? The men shouldn't get intimidated. Like, if the woman doesn't want the handkerchief, just find another woman that will want the handkerchief. Don't kill chivalry because the woman didn't want your handkerchief. You can still be a gentleman. But let's discuss this in the comments.
No big announcements, no loud resistance. Just less participation, less engagement, less effort. A slow, steady disengagement from the system.
I really blame feminism for the state of our dating culture right now, and let me explain. After second wave feminism, we saw a lot of these traditional gender norms break down where women did not want to be treated in that way, and instead they wanted to be treated more like men. Then you get into hookup culture, where it's like there's none of this courting thing instead and men chasing after you and that you're a prize to win. Instead, you're just like a man, you behave like a man, you go out, sleep with a man. It's that transactional casual sex that we've talked about so much in this podcast already. And then you go about your ways. And this has destroyed dating culture in every way because one, no one knows where they stand with each other. There's no roles that you fall into because it's all up in the air. Chivalry is dead because that apparently is, patriarchal to behave in chivalrous ways. So I think men have kind of abandoned chivalry. In turn, these women, I think, are just left so empty because they're going around hooking up. There's all these situationships where who knows where you stand. A lot of women, I think, feel pressure to have sex now with men because of this feminist movement that men now expect that. And then they do. And it's like you're damned if you don't and you damned if you do because a lot of men now expect you to have sex with them on the first date. And so a lot of women then will fall into that. And then they're no longer interested in you because biology says, oh, this woman's, easier to get. And now I want someone that's not a wife that I want. And so it's just thrown these dating standards and this dating culture up into the air. And there's just, I feel really thank God you and I are married because I feel a lot of people make jokes about this. Like getting married in the 2020s is like getting on the last chopper in Nam and flying away because it's a disaster. Everyone I talk to, it's like, I just don't think it's going to be a difficult thing to fix. And I blame feminism. And these men have abandoned all of the chivalry and all this stuff because they just see a bunch of these feminist women and are like, well, why am I going to be traditional if women aren't being traditional? So it's just been a complete collapse and breakdown. And everyone's unhappy because of it.
I just think that we've seen the other side really blur the gender lines a lot. And so we're seeing the effects of that now. I go online, I see photos of women on their hands and knees proposing to a man now. They're embracing paying 50-50, and it's like you're not even incentivizing these men to treat you properly. And one of my favorite videos is a Christian Walker video where he's like, men used to have to show up to your dad's house with a bunch of goats, with lambs, with horses, with land, and properly ask her father to marry them and to argue their case. And now we have men who aren't even offering to provide. They're not even offering to pursue you in the way that you deserve. And so we're obviously seeing the breakdown of this, where people don't want to have boyfriends or girlfriends because there's just such a divided culture in that regard.
At first, it's barely noticeable. But over time, the absence becomes obvious. Fewer approaches, fewer commitments, fewer interactions. The same dynamic, but with missing energy. And that creates tension.
I saw a video of a woman who was asking, why am I still single? I'm not supposed to be single right now, but why am I still single? Why are there no man approaching or asking me out? And I'm not asking any man out any longer because I tried doing that one time and it didn't go well. And that honestly cracked me up a little bit, because that honestly shows that so many women don't understand what it takes for us to be approached by men, especially in this day and age. So many women don't understand the guts that it takes, the confidence that it takes, the nerves that it takes to actually walk up to a total stranger, someone you know nothing about, just to ask them out because you find them attractive, or probably even sometimes out of your league, but you still do that. And I'm not talking about rude men here, that's out of the question. I'm talking about men who actually go about it the right way, but still get rejected in a disrespectful way. And then wonder why are men not actually asking us out? That's because they've been called perverts, they've been called PD3s, they've been called all names except a man of God. I wish I had the power to do this, where I have to impose a law where women who are of age, ready to mingle, would experience a moment where you approach a stranger or someone you have a crush on, or someone you find to be attractive or out of your league. Approach the person and ask them out. And not only should the person reject you, but also reject you in a disrespectful way. Unfortunately, I do not have the power, so it's not going to happen, so calm down. I feel like if that were to happen, a lot of women will have a different mindset and approach things differently. A lot of women will have more respect and empathy, knowing that it's not a game or a flex to intentionally hurt or mess with people's emotions or ego. Yes, I'm not saying that you cannot reject anyone, because obviously you cannot accept everyone's proposal, but I'm talking about respect, people. Respect.
Because the expectation was balance, not absence. Independence on one side, participation on the other. But when both sides start operating independently, the connection starts to weaken.
You and I both agree that men running through women is detrimental to our society.
Yes.
The argument that I would make is, in years past, when there were stronger patriarchal structures over society, there were decreased rates of men running through women because we had greater amounts of tradition in society. This whole sexual liberation thing that is intimately tied into feminism, I would say that feminism is largely to blame for so many women in our society getting run through, because earlier in the conversation, Destiny was making the point that nowadays we live in a society where a lot of women, both liberal and conservative alike, they want to go and build their careers and they want to go and enjoy their lives, and a big part of that enjoyment of their lives involves being sexually free in their 20s. That thing that you dislike, that is a fruit of feminism. Yeah. And it's one of the things historically that patriarchy protected against, because traditionally speaking, it was a father's job to protect his daughter's virginity and her purity and all that kind of stuff. That's a good thing for society. This sexual liberation stuff that's burning women is a fruit of feminism.
I find it so weird when feminists are like, oh, we want equality. And the first thing that men respond to that is, oh, so we can hate you now? Oh, so we can hate you? Equal rights, equal fights? Like, why was that your first thought? Are we okay? Like, you guys are so weird. This is exactly why I hate men. Like, you guys are actually such weirdos. Like, what?
Now you get confusion. Why aren't men stepping up? Why are they so comfortable staying out? Why does it feel like effort is no longer mutual? Because the incentives changed.
Bro, tell me why women are cooked these days. Feminism has ruined the dating market. I was on a date just yesterday, met this girl on Tinder. She's drop dead gorgeous, total 10, knockout, whatever. I don't care. I'm all about values. So I take her to Starbucks, right? Pro tip, fellas, never take a girl on dinner the first date. 95% of these women, they're just looking for a free meal and then dip, right? So I take her to Starbucks. I get a grande frappuccino with whip with caramel sauce drizzled on top. That's my order. She gets a black coffee. Little boring, whatever. Don't think too much of it. Go to pay for it, realize I don't have my wallet. So I was like, yo, babe, you're going to have to get this one. She was like, oh, no, that's totally, that's fine. Whatever. You know, it's totally cool. But like, I read body language. I'm a pickup artist. I can tell she's not actually cool with it, but whatever, you know, little red flag, choose to let it slide. We talked for a bit, talked for like a couple hours, whatever. She seems chill. She seems fine. We go for a walk. Then like 10 blocks into the walk, I realized like, gotta drop a deuce, right? So we're right by Earl's. Earl's is like this restaurant where they got like fine ass honeys, you know, waiting tables. Always love Earl's. So we go into Earl's. I tell the hostess like, yo, I gotta rock a deuce. You know, I'll be in and out. She's like, actually, washrooms are just for customers. I was like, no problem. We'll get some food. At this point, my date, she's like, oh, well, you said your place was like right by here. Do you want to just go run in? Like, you grab your wallet? I was like, babe, I told you it's 8 blocks away. I am not walking. You're going to have to get this. So she's like, oh, yeah, that's fine. Whatever. You know, I could tell she's not fine with it because whatever. Anyway, so I get the prime rib. She gets a salad, steaks on point. Love Earl's. And then we leave. I was like, yo, let's go back to the crib. And she's like, well, do you want to walk? It's a really nice night. I was like, babe, I told you it was 8 blocks away. I'm not walking. So we get an Uber. She pays for it. All good. We get to the place, you know, start making out. I lay a move. She's totally into it. I'm like, let's take it to the bedroom. We do. I bust out the strap, you know, the strap on. I was like, this is what it is. I'm a modern man. You got to please me. So she does, you know, she hits it from the back, pegs me for like 20, 25 minutes. I bust. And then she rolls over and she's like, oh, so do you want to keep going? I was like, babe, no, at this point, it was like 11:30. I was like, you got to get out. My girlfriend's going to be here any second. And dude, I cannot tell you how mad she was. And I was like, babe, you saw on my Tinder profile, like looking for shirt arm, potentially open to long. What did you think that means, dude? Like, dude, women are, feminism has ruined women. It's ruined women.
When someone no longer feels needed, they start questioning their involvement. And if the cost feels higher than the benefit, they reduce their participation. That's the part people didn't plan for.
I have a thought, followed by a question. Do you realize that miserable women are feminist? Feminists hate men. They also hate women who do not hate men. Why is that? Okay, love you, bye.
Bro, GG's, y'all. The feminists have won. Men's standards are at an all-time low. If you would have asked a man a decade ago what he wants from a woman, he'd be like cooking and cleaning and sex whenever he wants. Nowadays, if you ask a man what he wants in a woman, he's just going to tell you he wants peace. Men don't need you to cook and clean anymore. We can do that on our own. Women wanted equal rights and to work, and now they got equal rights and they're working. But the drawback is that now there's no such thing as gender roles. There's no such thing as a woman's job or a man's job. It's just work that needs to be done. So for better or worse, the feminists have won. The cat's out the bag, y'all. Men don't need women and women don't need men. But the truth is, we work better together. It's been proven time and time again. A man and a woman with the same goal and the same tenacity, they can do anything. In my opinion, the feminists had the right idea, but they didn't think enough about how the future could be. Because women got their equal rights, but men are way less likely to cater for women because of it. Because why cater for somebody who doesn't want to be catered for? It almost defeats the purpose.
It's not loud conflict, it's quiet distance. Not arguments, just absence. And absence is harder to address than opposition. Because you can debate with someone who's engaged, but you can't debate with someone who simply isn't there anymore.
Men stopped playing by the rules, and now everyone's freaking out. Let's break down why silence has become the loudest move.